Hello, we're back again. Chainsaws, chainsaws, chainsaws. What do we have next here? MS250 with an adjuster issue. A 170 that hasn't ran in years. A hedge clipper for a pull start. A Husky 262 the guy got for free, knows nothing about it. A couple Stihl 201s, missing a handle, won't start, leaking bar oil everywhere. An MS260 that's been to another shop twice and still won't run. A 291 that doesn't run right. A 261 with a blown up clutch. An 036. And an Echo that won't start. And a broken pole saw. Right now, let's go with the MS170 that hasn't ran in years. I'll see you at the workbench. Hey everyone, welcome back to my workbench. If you're new here, my name is Erica. If you've been here before, then you know what's going to happen. Today in the bench, we have this Stihl MS170 chainsaw. Customer dropped it off and said it's been sitting unused for years. Service it, get it back up and running, and it's missing the lock on the top cover. So it's missing, there's a piece there you turn to get the top off, and that's missing. So the Stihl MS170 is a 30cc homeowner grade occasional use chainsaw. These are good little saws with proper maintenance. I've seen these saws do a ton of work, more work than they should. So I'm hoping that this doesn't take much to get up and going. The sticker on it says it was manufactured in 2018. So there's a pretty good chance that he paid under $200 for this chainsaw. Back then he probably paid around $179.99 for it, something like that. So we don't want to go putting hundreds of dollars into this thing. I'm hoping it wasn't stored with fuel and we can easily get this thing back up and running, and I can probably dig a piece for this up out back somewhere. I'm sure I've got a few of these in the boneyard. So let's get started. Well, here we are with this MS170 that hasn't ran in years. Sometimes a chainsaw can get bought for a one-time cut and then get thrown in the back of the shed and not used again. This saw looks like it's done more than just cut one time. It's filthy. There's some paint off the bar. There's lots of black on that muffler. So this thing has seen some work before it was parked. So the first thing we'll do here, I guess, is we'll check the fuel. We'll see if there's any fuel in it. Hopefully there's not. After years of sitting, you wouldn't want to see or smell that, unless it was stored with moto mix in it. That would be good news. Let me just go find a container to dump this in. Okay. Got a clean container here. There is something in there. I don't know what it is, but we'll dump it out. Somebody was asking me about this flashlight. And it says Stihl on it, but I honestly don't know why I have it. I didn't order it. I think a rep gave it to me. I don't know if Stihl actually sells these. It might have been like a promotional sort of thing. So I don't know where you get these from, but it is handy. I should call them and see if they could send me a box of them. I could send some out maybe if I could get my hands on some. So let's dump whatever that is into this container. There's not very much of it. It's pretty, got a pretty rancid smell to it. So I'm going to say that's been sitting in it since it was parked. The inside of the fuel tank is clean. I'll go ahead and put a little bit of fresh mix in it. And then we'll check the bar oil. And then we'll try to start it up. You never know. Yes, there is bar oil in it. So we're missing our plastic piece there. If this thing is going to run, then I can go find one of those. And there's, the saw's had some dirt ingestion. I'll just stick that back in there for now. Well, let's just step outside the door and just see what this thing does with some fresh gas in it. And we'll go from there. I'll meet you over at the door. So this little guy starts and runs. Doesn't run real well, but it runs. So with these MS170s, I've seen this time and time again. When these run, but they don't have power to rev up, the first thing to look at is the spark arrestor in that muffler. I'm going to take a guess here and say the spark arrestor in this thing is plugged. I'll show you that. We're going to take it out right now. And if it is, we're going to put a new spark plug in it, replace that air filter. I'll clean this thing up. And that may resolve the problems here. I've seen these saws get thrown in the shed because that spark arrestor is plugged. I've seen these saws get thrown in the dump because that spark arrestor is plugged. Now, I could be wrong here. I've been wrong many times before. But let's just see. I don't think these have ever been off before. Doesn't feel like it anyways. I've been waiting for a good example to show you guys of a plugged spark arrestor. And maybe this will be the one. Bingo. See that? 100% that's why this thing was put away, because it wasn't running properly. So I'm going to show you how we take care of this easily and how to get your MS170 back up and running if you find this problem. Okay, so we've got our plugged up spark arrestor, a wire brush. That's all we need to do this. Just something to hold on to it. Take your wire brush. It's looking pretty good. I know in some countries you don't run a spark arrestor. I've seen in the comments people talking about this. The point of a spark arrestor, if there was a spark come out of the exhaust of this chainsaw, let's say the guy was out cutting in the woods and it was dry, this is to keep those hot sparks in and not start a forest fire. I don't know if it's just a North American thing or a Canadian thing, but that's what this is for. Some guys just take them out and chuck them and don't put them back in. If you're doing this repair at home, you can do whatever you want with the spark arrestor. If you want to clean it, just do something like what I just did. Okay. You see that mess of carbon that just came out of that. Sometimes this piece that you take off the muffler, sometimes it can be plugged too. Now this one isn't plugged. It's black and got carbon on it, but it's not plugged up. But if you wanted to, you could kind of clean it up too. You can see the all the buildup. Okay, that looks good to me. This thing's cleaned so many spark arresters out, there's almost nothing left of it. I've had days in the shop where I've dealt with just things like this, just back to back to back. I'll often tell them right out in the showroom, just go home and take the muffler off and check that. And they're like, oh, no, I'm just going to leave it here. I'll let you do it. So some days I just do nothing but this. This can be a little bit funny to put back in. You kind of got to hold it on there, line it up at the same time. Get your nuts started. I just wouldn't take your finger off of there until you've got them tightened back down. Okay. Well, that probably just resolved 99% of this chainsaw's problems. We are going to service this. Oftentimes, when that spark arrestor looks like that, you'll take the spark plug out and it will be fouled, which is probably what we're going to find. This is going to get a new spark plug, a new air filter. I'm going to blow it all out. But I should take it back out right now and just show you the running difference between what you've seen a few minutes ago and now before we service this. Let's do it. I'll see you out there. Well, there you go. This little MS170 revs out now. Spark arrestor. I gotta go see if I have a used part for this. I can take you back with me if you want to have a look. Let's go. Welcome to the parts crypt. If you come back here, you're likely not coming back out. Chainsaws piled to the ceiling. What's that noise? There's something in here. Hopefully it's the cat. Who's there? Who is it? Okay, let me find my part and get out of here. This is Stihl stuff, I think. Steel starter handles, steel trimmer parts, random parts, air filters, fuel caps, starter parts. I'm pretty sure I had one of those little black plastic things, a box of them back here. Oh boy, how am I gonna... I told you he was a hoarder. Look at this. How am I supposed to find anything back here? It's piled to the rafters. Oh, Domer. Okay, find that. Find that box. Where is it? Steel top cover knobs. Oh, thank goodness, there's one left. Come on. What was that? Ow! Well, I made it back. I've seen people go back to the crypt and never return. That was risky, but worth it. I found the little part that I needed to make this 170 complete again. Let's go ahead and service the saw and clean it up. So this air filter is going to get replaced. Let's pull that spark plug out. That's what they typically look like when they've been running with a plugged up spark arrestor. Since we're here, let's take a quick look down the hole. We'll go ahead and throw a new spark plug in this. NGK BPMR7A. Gapped properly. So you can see this saw has ingested some dirt. There's nothing I can do about that, but I'm going to plug this hole up, take this over to the door, and I'll give this a bit of a clean up, blow all the dirt and dust off of it. That's one way to store your saw for years. I'm going to pop over to the door, give this saw a cleaning up. A lot of you have been asking to see the cleanup process. So I could take you over there with me. It's not quite dark yet. I'll bring you over and you can watch the dirt fly. I'll see you at the door. Okay, here's our MS170 back from its spa day. You've seen that Zep citrus degreaser that I just sprayed on out of a spray bottle. Let it sit for a few minutes. Blew it off, and then I just wipe everything down. And I used a bit of that Stihl special cleaner on the front there, just a little bit, but that saw is a lot cleaner than it was a few minutes ago. So let's pull that clutch drum off. Then we'll pull this piece of plastic off and probably go back and do some more cleaning. Clutch springs all look good. That all looks good. Let's just pop that piece of plastic off. There's no screws in this one. A little bit of crud built up in there. So you've seen the process. I'll just pop over to the door quick, blow that out, clean this up. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got that and that brake area cleaned up. Maybe we'll start putting this back together. Just grease the clutch bearing here. It's like baler twine or something. Whatever it is, it's not supposed to be in there. Just a little buildup inside this. We'll just scrape it out. These little clips, some people probably replace these every time they have them off. I just look at them closely. If it looks worn, like I've got a worn one here I can show you. Let's see if you can see that. You see those, see how it's worn? Like some of the material's gone? That's a clip that I wouldn't reuse. But if they look good, then I do. And this one looks fine. Okay, so that's all back together, all cleaned up. Whatever that was is no longer in it. Greased. Put a new air filter in this saw. This is the newer style MS170 air filter. So we got a new spark plug, new air filter, all cleaned up and greased. Spark arrestor's been cleaned out. Go ahead and put our top cover back on. This saw looks like I could put it out in the showroom for sale, except they don't make the MS170 anymore, or they don't sell it here anymore in Canada. I see people on Facebook Marketplace asking like $400 for these. I don't know if they're getting $400 for them, but they're asking quite a lot for them. He's not even going to recognize this when he picks it up. It was an older gentleman, probably 80 some years old. I think he just needs to do some light work. This will probably work really well for him. So let's take a look at the bar and chain before we put it back on. I should probably make an appointment to get my eyes checked. I didn't notice this in the beginning, but this bar is bent. I just grabbed it and put it on the table, and I was like, that doesn't look right. I think you can see that. So that's not going back on. His chain looks fine. I'm just going to throw a sharpen on it, but he'll be getting a new bar. And I have one right here. 16-inch. This is 43 gauge, 3/8 Pico, and 55 drive link. I'll keep it, and he can have a look at it when he picks it up, just in case he doesn't believe me. You ever grab your chain and it's in knots like this? The chain looks fine. It glides around that bar, no problem. Clutch cover, all cleaned up. The rest of the saw is so clean, maybe I'll clean his nuts too. All right, am I forgetting anything? It came in here because it has not ran in years, missing this piece, and service it. So we dumped the fuel that was in it out. Fresh fuel, the tank is clean. There's bar oil in it, and it's oiling. The spark arrestor was stuffed full, you've seen that. New bar, new air filter, new spark plug. We had to look down into the cylinder. All cleaned up and greased. I'll go fire it up once more, make sure everything is good. I'll see you out there. Okay, so this little Stihl MS170 starts good, runs good, and it's oiling. When the customer dropped it off, he said, this chainsaw has not ran for years. It's missing the lock on the top cover, and service it. So we dumped his old stinky fuel out of it. We put our fuel in it. We checked the bar oil. We went outside and started it. And it would run, but it had no power. It wouldn't rev up. Classic MS170 problem. We came in and found the spark arrestor totally plugged up, which is probably why this saw was put away in the first place. I've seen people pick these out of the dump because of that. So if you have one of these at home and it won't run correctly or won't rev up, just pull it off and take a look. He asked for a service. We serviced it, new fuel filter, new spark plug, new air filter. We went out back and we found my last plastic knob for this MS170 cover. And we put a new bar on it because his bar is bent. I didn't notice it at first, but it's definitely bent. So he's getting a new one. So I think this little saw is ready to go back home. If you enjoy my content, or maybe you just find it entertaining, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I have a whole bunch of saws waiting for me, but they're going to have to wait till morning because I'm heading home. Thank you so much for watching.